President Obama standing firm on his new deficit reduction plan, which includes increasing taxes on the wealthy.
Either we ask the wealthiest Americans to pay their fair share in taxes, or we're going to have to ask seniors to pay more for Medicare. We can't afford to do both. This is not class warfare. It's math.
Wow. But our next guest says this is class warfare. He's the business owner who says he was fined from the government for hiring more workers. Joining us right now is the CEO of Euro Pacific Capital and author of this book, How an Economy Grows. Peter Schiff, welcome.
Thanks for having me. But technically, the government didn't fine me. It was a self-regulatory body called FINRA that the government requires me to be a member of in order to stay in business. So it was the regulators that fined me, not the government per se. But I still regard them as an extension of the government.
You hired 50 people and you found yourself having to explain yourself, which blows me away in this country with this economy. But Peter, I want to talk to you about your take with your economic background on the stimulus package. Will this stimulate, is this what big business needs to start spending and start distributing their money?
No, not at all. The stimulus is a sedative, and it's going to continue to undermine the economy. Businesses don't need more government spending. In fact, government spending is depriving businesses of the capital they need to grow, because the money the government spends is money business can't invest. But probably more importantly, government is killing businesses with rules and regulations that cost a fortune to comply with, that inhibit business growth, and in fact, in many cases, particularly small businesses, because of all the regulations that are specifically tied to hiring people, many businesses try to do everything they can to avoid hiring people, because the government has made it so expensive and so risky to hire people.
All right, so let's look what you think we should do. How to encourage job growth, according to Peter Schiff, abolish the minimum wage. People think that's anti-poor people.
Well, one of the most anti-poor people rules is the minimum wage. It keeps people poor. What the minimum wage does is says that if a person that has very little skills, and generally they're young or they're poor, you can't hire them unless they can produce $7.25 worth of value. But it's not just that. It also has to compensate you for all the mandatory benefits and taxes and risks associated with hiring people.
Right.
And people that have no skills, it's just not worth it to hire them. And more importantly, they never get any skills. If you can hire people and pay them
Peter, I want to get through too. I understand what you're saying.
What they're worth,
you also say
all this red tape.
You say
maybe
to
after a year or two, they could be earning $10 or $15 an hour. But the problem is they never get a chance.
Peter, repeal federal workplace anti-discrimination laws. You think that is hindering? Yet it becomes a very litigious workplace?
Well, I think it's particularly hurting the minorities that the rules are there to protect. I think the government has made it so much more expensive and risky to hire minorities because you have a much higher chance of getting tangled up in a lawsuit that I think small business owners go out of their way not to hire minorities. And so it's not because they're racist, it's because they're realistic. They don't want to get sued. You know, take a look at the Americans with Disability Act. The worst thing to happen to the disabled was that act. I mean, before the act, people would be willing to hire somebody in a wheelchair and take a chance. Now, I mean, there's no way they're going to do it. It's just too much risk.
Right. So, Peter, in your situation, you touched on it at the top. You write a book. It's a bestseller. You're in this tough economy. Your business is growing. You want to hire 50 people. They say you got to check with us first. So, did you ever get those 50 hired?
Well, what happened was, you know, I was hiring a lot of people in 2008. I thought I had the appropriate permission. I actually didn't. And the regulator sent a letter to my compliance officer ordering me to stop hiring. He never showed me that letter. I mean, I had to fire him and hire a whole bunch of new compliance guys. But by the time I found out about it, I was in a lot of hot water. I had to order a hiring freeze, and then I had to try to jump through all the hoops to get permission to hire more people. But it was a lot more complicated because I had ignored their other letter. It cost me a fortune in legal fees to try to go through the process. But in the meantime, I had other regulatory issues that I had to resolve. So I kept having to put the hiring more people on the back burner. And it was just Tuesday of this week, after more than 2 years of struggling and paying all sorts of costs, that I finally got permission to hire another 50 brokers. And I also got permission finally, after more than 2 years, to publish research, which means I can finally hire the analysts I've been wanting to hire. So I can start the hiring process now. But of course, I'm spending more money complying with rules and regulations than I am on rent. I mean, I've got 6 offices. I've got 2 in Southern California. I've got 1 in Manhattan. But if you take all my rents combined, it still doesn't equal the compliance costs. So,
Peter,
and
I
the
think you've
compliance
outlined it
costs
well.
are preventing
We're out of time.
plenty of firms like mine.
We're out of time, Peter, but it's your personal story, I think, is well worth relaying to everyone, because who knows how many other companies are going through the same thing. You're trying to grow, and the government's stopping you. Peter Schiff, congratulations on your book, How an Economy Grows, and good luck with your business.
Thank you.